Hey everyone, and welcome to Slowpoke Racing, and welcome to the Ultimate Racing League Sunday season. It is underway. We had round one last week, and obviously it just follows on naturally that this is round two. This week we are in Switzerland, and we are at the fictional track actually of Deep Forest Raceway, a fantastic track. However, these guys are going to be doing it the reverse way round. Now, I don't mean they're going to reverse around the track, it just means they're going to go the opposite way to what you would normally do in the game. So we are going clockwise as opposed to anti-clockwise. Makes the track a little bit trickier, but I'm sure these guys will cope with it. This is the League of Champions, and this is the creme de la creme, as they say, of the Ultimate Racing League. So these guys, I'm sure, will be putting on a fantastic display for us. Now, just before we get into the actual race, I do want to mention our sponsors, and that is sponsors with an S. We do have a new sponsor that's joined us, and it's fantastic to have them on board, and that's Eldridge Air Conditioning. Really great to have those guys on board with us. And of course, we've still got our original sponsors, Dubby, and that's dubby.gg. Now, if you do head over to their website and type in the code URL7, you can grab yourself a bit of discount on some of their stuff. So that's Eldridge Air Conditioning and Dubby, our two sponsors for this season. Like I say, great to have you on board, guys. Now, the other thing I do want to mention, if you do like these videos, then please hit that like button, and if you haven't already, if you could subscribe, it does help the channel out ever such a lot, and we really appreciate that. So, as I say, on with the race. We are at Deep Forest, and we are doing the reverse track. 2.6 miles, 18 turns. I have seen something that says there's only 15 turns, but I think they actually miss 2, 3 and 4 as turns, because as you'll see, they're on this very long sort of straight section, and I think some of the track guides don't actually count the first 3 turns, the second, third and fourth turn as turns. So read into it what you will. I say there's 18 turns, they claim there's 15. It doesn't make that much difference to the guys racing. As I say, 2.6 miles in length. The rules for this race, pretty simple. Get around as fast as you can within the 30 minutes or 21 laps, which is what we're doing now. The tyres to be used, we only need to use soft tyres for this race, and there are no scheduled or mandatory pit stops, so it is a sprint race. So without further ado, I'm going to go down the grid, and this is after qualifying, so they do the 10 minutes of qualifying, and after qualifying we see we've got Callum in pole position. Going the wrong way, sorry about that. We've got Bailey in second, we've got Neil Farmack in third, we've got Smith in fourth, Kenny fifth, Derview 86 in sixth, Toby seventh, Paul is in 8th, Toten is 9th, Inky 10th, Grasshopper 11th, Fitzy is 12th, Sideways George is 13th, and Seamus Cash is in 14th. It is a rolling start, which is why all the cars are so spaced out. So what we will do is we'll get them lights out, and we can have a bit of a chat about the track and the drivers as we're going along. So on to the start finish straight, and as they approach those lights, you can just see them in the background as all the lights have gone off and Callum gets us underway. This straight actually is about 765 metres in length, which is just under half a mile, I believe. So it is a massive straight. Drafting is going to really come into play with this one, as Callum leads us into this hairpin, but it looks like Bailey's got him on the inside, and that's a great move from Bailey to take the lead away from Callum. Great bit of manoeuvring there from Bailey to get himself in front of Callum. Callum fighting back though as they go into the tunnel for the first time. 3 tunnels on this track actually. So as we go through this one, Bailey's managed to again keep himself on the inside. Neil Farmack's trying to go through as well. So Bailey, Callum, Neil Farmer, they all go through. It's all very tight in there. A lot of cars, bunch of bit of lag there from Kenny as well, unfortunately. Hopefully that'll get itself sorted out. Oh, and Neil's gone off. Now then, what's happened to Neil? Let's have a look. That's not what he needed in the first few turns of lap 1. So as they approach this third tunnel, oh, he gets a bit of a nudge there from Kenny. Now that was unlucky. Where's Kenny? Let's just go back and see it from his point of view. He's just behind Neil as they enter the tunnel. He just couldn't get it slowed down, could he? And a bit of a bumper kiss from Kenny onto Neil, and the pair of them now. Kenny quite rightly waiting, but Neil all the way down. Well, he's in 11th. He's managed to get himself back on track. Kenny though down at the back. And Seamus Cash. What's happened to Seamus Cash? Well, it's all happening in these first few turns. So Seamus, he started down in 14th. Would get to turn 9. I don't think anything happened to Seamus. I think he just saw the carnage up ahead and backed off. All Fitzy getting a bit out of sorts as well. So yeah, these guys really trying to get used to this track. I'm sure they've been doing lots of practicing. Yeah, I think Seamus is just he's just tried to avoid the carnage. So anyway, back up to our current race leader is Bailey as he takes the final turn, 18 onto the thing. Now, is it a safety car? Because he's slowed right down. It is. That's why Seamus was going so slow. So there must be a safety car called. Let's get out of that view. I do apologise. I keep putting it in that view and forgetting it. So everybody lining up behind Bailey, ready for the go again. It'll be Bailey's call. And as soon as everybody's caught up, which it does look like they are, we're just waiting for Seamus Cash to go to the back. They're very bunched up. I always thought the rule was you've got to be at least a car length apart. Maybe they are a car length apart, I don't know. It's very hard to judge at this point, but they're very, very bunched up. Change of livery for this week. If you remember last week we were in the doing an endurance race, and it was different liveries to this time around because this is 2 sprint races. They can change the livery on these cars. So we're back up and racing again. It looks like Bailey taking us through these series of turns. 9, he's through into turn 11, 12. Callum just sitting there behind him. Smith, he's there in 3rd. That's Bailey's teammate. We nicknamed these the Cray Twins a while back because they do tend to hunt in pairs, and they're doing exactly that now. And Callum's in the middle of them. So that's going to be an interesting battle between those top 3 guys. Toby up there in 4th. Everybody's still pretty tight, although Fitzy is now down. Now what's happened to Fitzy after the restart? Let's just go back. What's happened? He's just got on the grass, and I think that may have been before the actual start or on the restart. So that's unlucky for Fitzy. Back up and running now though, so back up to our leader Bailey. Starting to open up a tiny little gap now back to Callum. Callum, if you remember, promoted from League One last season. Very quick driver. Unfortunately, I think he did get disqualified from last week's race for tyre infringement, I believe. The rule is you can only run a red tyre for 1 lap, and I believe Callum actually ran it for a bit longer. So from what I've found out or been told, he's actually been disqualified from last week's race, so no points for him so far. So he'll have something to prove today. So they're all still lined up. Smith still in 3rd, Toby, Inky, Derg. in 6th, Toten just sitting behind in 7th. Then we've got Paul and Grasshopper going side by side. All Paul's picked up a penalty. He's going to carry that all the way around the track now as well. Still side by side. Fantastic racing from these two guys, giving each other the room they deserve. Paul in the Red Bull livery. Paul, a fellow commentator as well, and I think he's doing League 3 this season, so if you want to catch up on the League 3 guys, if you head over Paul's channel, that's Paul72 on YouTube, where you can see it there on top of his car, Paul_E72. Head over to his YouTube channel and you can watch how the guys in League 3 are getting on. So Paul down in 9th, Neil Farmack in 10th after his spill, so 2 teammates there. Now, could there be a bit of bump drafting and a bit of helping each other out? It does look like they're going to. Oh no, maybe not. No team orders. Neil has just said no. Get out of the way. I'm quicker and I'm going to take the lead. Maybe that was the plan all along. Paul is going to have to serve that penalty anyway, but I thought Neil might have helped him along the straight a little bit. Definitely a bit of lag going on, isn't there? Paul pulls to the right to try and get out of the way of everybody else. Kenny goes through to take that 10th spot away from Paul. Paul dropped down into 11th. Sideways George, not that far behind, with Seamus Cash in 13th. And then Fitzy, unfortunately, all the way down in 14th, and a bit of an uphill fight on his hands. So let's just drop back up to the top and see how our race leaders are getting on. It is still Bailey, Callum and Smith. Toby in 4th. Inky in 5th, having a good race is Inky. Derg sitting in 6th with his teammate Toten just behind, so maybe those two can work together as well. It's when you get on to the start-finish straight, a bit of bump drafting, I believe they call it. I've probably just made that up, but it sounds about right. So if Toten can get close enough to Derg, which it looks like he's struggling to do. Derg trying to get into the slipstream of Inky, maybe make a move at the hairpin, or just before. I think he's just sitting back a little bit, isn't he, Derg? A very tight right-hander that is, that on the hairpin. You really have to get the car slowed right down to make that turn, and also if you're a bit keen on the accelerator, it's quite easy to spin on the exit of that turn, and yes, I am speaking from experience. So Derg and Toten in 6th and 7th, 2 teammates there, also with the Red Bull livery, it looks like, although the away kit. Grasshopper in 8th. He's got Neil Farmack for company now then. Oh, I'm just going to go back and have a look and just, oh, it's all gone wrong for Grasshopper. Let's have a look. So he's got Neil Farmack behind him as they go in and out of the tunnels. Neil makes a move, and Grasshopper turns in and I don't think he realised that Neil was there. He turned into Neil. Neil carried on going, and Grasshopper has now ended up facing the wrong direction, and everybody has to try and get by. Gets it turned around the right way though now, so that's really unlucky for Grasshopper. I don't know how Neil managed to keep going straight, but he did, and he's managed to stay in front of Kenny as well. But Kenny right on the back of Neil Farmack. Let's go on board with Kenny as we try and catch up to the back of Neil and maybe make a move before the hairpin turn. Kenny's having a little bit of a look, isn't he? He's trying to get on the inside. Wow, that lag is really bad, isn't it? I'm not sure I can sit in the car with Kenny for much longer. It's making me feel sick, so I don't know what it's doing to him. Paul down in 10th. It's a shame as well, because there seems to be a good battle going on there with Neil. I tell you what, we'll go on board with Neil instead. So you can see Kenny jumping from side to side. I don't know if he's making a move or it's the lag kicking in, and I'm sure Neil is just as confused. as we go through turns 10, 11 and 12, and then into the tunnel through 13. Well, there's actually 4 tunnels, isn't there? I think I said there was 3, but there is actually 4, 2 of them very short. Through another S section. Quite a tricky part of the track this, very easy to get on the grass. You can see Kenny's still all over the back of Neil. He doesn't want to let him get away. Nice and steady on the exit, using as much of the track as he possibly can, Neil. And then foot planted firmly on the noisy pedal all the way down this start-finish straight. Oh, now I'm going to go back up because we have had a change at the top. Now let me just see if I can find out where that happened. I'm going to have to go back quite a way. No, there we go. So Bailey out in front, Callum currently in second, although Smith is all over him. And Smith, he gets himself on the inside, and yeah, that's a great move there from Smith to get himself up into second. Not much Callum could do about that. It was a fantastic move from Smith. So 2 teammates now, 1 and 2, back where they like it. So Ronnie and Reggie reigning supreme at the minute. Callum, all he can do is try and just sit there, get onto the back of Smith again, get into the slipstream, and maybe take him before they get to this hairpin. So back onto this long straight. So these 3 can't get away from Toby, can they? Inky's still sitting in there, Dirk's still sitting in there, Toten is still there as well. So let's just go back up as they approach the hairpin. Turn 5, no names for these corners because it is a fictional track. It'd be fantastic if Polyphony did actually name these fictional tracks or name the corners. I'm sure we can think of some. Answers in the comments below what you would like to call these corners. But Bailey now starting to stretch his legs a little bit. Maybe this is a bit of a team plan. If Smith gets himself into second, maybe hold Callum up and let Bailey get away. So the top 3, they are starting to just try and pull away. Though Toby, he's just not letting them out of his sight, is he? I've seen Toby on many occasions, and Toby, a very quick guy. He's always there and thereabouts, and very difficult to shake off when he's in your mirrors. So Toby having a good race so far. Bit of a complaint from that Lexus, the rear end, and we do know that they are very twitchy. Fantastic cars, very quick, but you've really got to work hard to keep them under control. Now Inky with a 1 second penalty. So I'm not sure, I'm not going to go back and try and find it, but I'm not sure if that's track limits, but it must be. So 1 second penalty for Inky, serving that now. That's going to let Dirk go through, so Dirk's going to move up into 5th. Is Toten going to follow him through, or is Inky going to manage to hold on to it? Toten right at the back of Inky now as they go through the tunnel down towards 8 and 9. Inky taking the defensive line on the inside, these 2 side by side. Toten still on the outside, having to go the long way round. He's just slotting back in behind Inky, and I think he's just going to have to follow him through this series of S's, 2 sort of S sections together. See Toten basically pushing Inky along. So let's ride on board with Toten as he follows Inky through the S's down towards turn 18. Now it's all comes down to getting a good exit from this turn. He's onto the start-finish straight. Can Toten get into the slipstream? Got nothing behind him, so he's under no pressure at all behind. So it really does come down to making the move on Inky. He's having a look, isn't he? No. Oh, Toten just backs out. Inky going defensive on that tight right-hander. Not much Toten could do there. I thought he might have made a bit of a move, but it probably would have been a bit of a lunge if he did. So these two have a great little fight. I mean, Toten is a very quick driver. Oh, he's got himself on the inside of Inky, just having to back out then. Toten currently leading the Wednesday multi-class championship. Not only leading it, he's ran away with it and he's gone off into the distance. Nobody's going to catch him now, so Toten is a very capable driver. So Neil made his way up into 8th. Having came off on the first lap. Oh, Kenny is I don't know if he's dancing. What's going on with this car? That's a real shame for Kenny. The thing is Kenny probably doesn't see it. It's only the guys around him can see it. It's not his fault, obviously, unless one of the kids is shaking the PlayStation around as he's driving. I don't know. Then we've got Sideways George, Seamus Cash, Grasshopper, Paul. Now Paul finds himself down in 13th. So what's happened to Paul? He must have had a bit of a moment to find himself all the way down there. I'm sorry we missed that. But he is putting a challenge in on Grasshopper. Into the hairpin for the 10th time. Remember, it's a 21 lap race, so we are just approaching halfway. Oh, who's that at the back? Is it Fitzy again? No, it's Seamus Cash. Let's have a look what's happened to Seamus Cash. Oh, he's done what so many have done in other leagues. He's come out of the hairpin and the car has just gone round on him. As I say, I'm speaking from experience. I did exactly the same thing myself, and I'm sure there's plenty of others throughout the leagues that have done that as well. I'm sure it doesn't make Seamus Cash feel any better, but you're not alone, mate. We've all done it. So back up to our leaders still, Bailey and Smith. A little bit of a gap now between Bailey and Smith. Callum's still sitting in 3rd, Toby's still sitting in 4th, and Derg now up into 5th, so he'll be pleased with that if he can stay there. If you didn't catch it, I did have a little chat with Derg yesterday, and you can have a look at that if you head over to the YouTube channel or check out the URL Facebook page. There's a link on there, and yeah, I had a little bit of a chat with Derg and a look into his world. So yeah, do head over and check that out. We will be doing a series of chats with the drivers throughout the next few weeks. So yeah, keep an eye out for them. Toten coming under pressure from Inky. Down into turn 9. Toten this time on the inside. Now can he hold on to it? Inky determined. He's going to go the wrong way round, but he's still determined. He will find himself on the inside if he can stay where he is as they come out of this tunnel. So now it's Toten on the outside and Inky on the inside. So Toten has to drop in. Ooh, a bit of a twitch from the car there, but Toten's still there. Inky gets the job done, retakes that 6th position, but all the time these two are battling away. Neil Farmack and Twitchy Kenny are creeping closer and closer and closer. It's almost hypnotic, isn't it, watching Kenny's car slide around all over the place. Oh, a bit of a three-way battle going on here for 12th with Fitzy, Paul and Seamus Cash. Oh, it's side on. Paul goes very wide onto the grass, and the car is having a big old complaint then. That's dropped him just behind Fitzy and Sideways. Fitzy and Sideways side by side as they head towards the hairpin. who's bravest on the brakes. Sideways, manages to keep his nose in front, or has he? It looks like he went very wide. I'm just going to drop back a little bit and watch what happened to Sideways as we come up to the hairpin. Sideways is in front, and I think he just couldn't get the car slowed down enough. He couldn't, and he went very, very wide. That allowed Fitzy through and Paul. So he's lost 2 spaces there in one corner just because he couldn't get that car slowed down enough. But Sideways fighting back. He's going to want that place back from Paul, and then he can attack Fitzy again. We're on lap 12, so 9 more to go. Tyres all looking good. The tyre setting's quite low on this one, so obviously with no mandatory pit stops, we don't want the tyres wearing out, do we? There will be a pit stop in race 2, however. But we will explain more of that for race 2. As Fitzy has picked up a 1.5 second penalty, so that has got to be for track limits, and that really isn't going to help his cause. He's going to carry that round to just after the hairpin, when he'll have to serve that, and that surely is going to allow Sideways and maybe even Seamus Cash to go through, but Seamus has picked up a penalty as well. So the penalties being handed out quite freely by PD today. So Paul is going to be allowed to just push a little bit further away from Fitzy. Sideways should take that 12th position as Fitzy serves his penalty, tries to slot in behind Sideways George again. So let's just have a run up to the top. Oh, I need a little drink. So Bailey out in front still, led for pretty much most of the race actually. Got his rear gunner just behind him in the shape of Smith. Keeping Callum behind. Callum just started to fall away a little bit. Toby is still there. In fact, Toby is very close to Callum now, and close enough to put him under a bit of pressure. Dirk just sitting there still in 5th, having a good races. Dirk not really coming under any pressure, he's just got to keep it going forward. We've got quite a gap now back to Kenny. Oh, it's Kenny that's got in front of Neil. I don't know if we can go back and have a look at where this was. No. We're having to go back too far. So Kenny has taken up that 6th spot with Neil Formack just sitting behind in 7th. Inky has picked up a penalty. Like I say, they're being handed out like sweets. The penalties. So Neil got a bit of work to do. I'm not sure if he'd had a bit of a moment with Twitchy Kenny, or it was just a good move, and I apologise we missed that. But Neil pushing hard to catch up with Kenny and maybe make the move on him. Toten down in 8th. Inky 9th. Those two have stopped having a bit of a fight now. Oh, Inky. What's happened to Inky? I'm not quite sure what's happened there. He just seemed to slow right down. So we come down the hill towards turn 9. He's under no pressure whatsoever. There's nobody around him. Through into the tunnel. And I still don't know. He just seemed to drive straight on. But anyway, he gets a 1 second penalty for his trouble. Grasshopper down in 10th. I think he's just a little bit too far away from Inky to take advantage of that penalty that Inky's got, but we shall see. Paul in 11th. Not the best of races for Paul. I'm sure he'll be disappointed with this. He was doing quite well for the first part of it. We're not quite sure what happened, but he finds himself now down in 11th. Sideways 12th, then Fitzy, and then Seamus Cash at the back. So back up to our race leader, who is really stretching the lead now. Is Bailey's. He's a good few seconds out in front. Currently got the fastest lap. No, he hasn't. It's Smith. It's his teammate with the fastest lap. He won 25.3. Bailey is in the 25s, and you can see very consistent lap times. So what we've got there, 2, 4, 6, 8. The last 9 laps have all been 125s, so he does get the fastest lap this time, a 25.2. So Callum has got past Smith. Now that it was going through the tunnels, and Callum just swept by Smith down to turn 9, and he's in front. And then somehow Smith picks up a penalty as well. So Smith is now in trouble with Toby all over the back of him and carrying a half-second penalty. So he could find himself back down in 4th from 2nd for Smith. That's I think it was just a great move from Callum. There's not a lot Smith could do about it. So Callum now on a charge. As I say, disqualified from last week's race, so he really has got a point to prove today. As they go across the start-finish line to start lap 16. So down through turns 2, 3 and 4, which as I say at the beginning, there are some track guides don't count them. So Callum through the hairpin safely, Smith through safely, Toby through safely. Now Smith has got that penalty to serve, so Toby, will he actually take advantage? He has. So Toby has now gone through to 3rd with Smith having to slot in behind him in 4th. Dirk still sitting there in 5th. Still sticking with these guys. So let's just go back up to our race leader. I think he's far enough in front. We've got about 5 laps to go. All he's got to do is keep this pace up, keep the car facing forwards, and he should have this race wrapped up. Although Callum, I'm sure, has got other ideas. Toby holding on to 3rd. He's got Smith all over the back of him. Let's go on board with Smith as he tries to put the pressure on Toby. Into the slipstream now. Up this start-finish line. Toby kicking up a lot of dust. He's getting his tyres on the dirt. Now Smith makes his move. He is on the outside unless he can get by. Toby can. He's got the move done. So that was the slipstream that's helped there. It's hard on the brakes. Through the tight right-hander, good exit, and that's exactly what Smith's got. So he's back into 3rd, Toby slots into 4th. Don't think Toby's going to get close enough to make a move. At turn 9, which is a good overtaking spot if you can get close enough. Dirk's still in 5th. Then we've got Neil Formack coming under pressure from Kenny. These two have had a proper ding-dong battle. Kenny's getting all over the place like he's on ice. That lag, I mean, that must be affecting him. It makes it difficult for other guys to get by, but I'm not quite sure how Kenny sees it, if he sees it at all. But Neil sitting comfortably in 6 now, with Kenny desperately trying to chase him down. Toten in 8th. Of course, he will be looking at this of Kenny's car, diving all over the place and wondering how he can make a move. Then there is quite a gap back to Inky. It is almost the length of the start-finish straight for Inky in 9th, with Grasshopper just sitting behind. Then we've got Paul, and then another big gap then back to sideways. Fitzy and Seamus Cash, these 3 guys all at the back. Seamus with another penalty. He does seem to be collecting on this race, although they are being given out quite freely. Everybody seems to have picked a penalty up at some point. So Seamus Cash is going to have to serve that, and that's going to drop him even further behind Fitzy. This probably isn't his favourite of tracks. Bailey with a penalty as well, although it's not going to affect his track position. He should stay in front. On lap 19, so 3 laps including this one. So you can see the slowing down bar just filling up there. So just as they get just before the tunnel, you can see the brakes get slammed on and Bailey has to slow down. Callum would have seen that, would have given him a bit of encouragement. He would have got a little bit closer to Bailey now, but is it going to be close enough to actually put a challenge in on him? Probably not. Smith still sitting in 3rd, Toby still in 4th. I'm sure he'll be pleased with that. He's had a good race so far. Same as Dirk sitting in 5th. I know he'll be pleased with that. Neil and Kenny still battling it out for 6. Toten just sitting there in the background, just can't quite get close enough, can he? Try and find a battle. Inky and Grasshopper. This seems to be the closest thing we've got so far, although what's going on up ahead? No, it is still Neil and Kenny. So Inky and Grasshopper having their own little fight, with Paul just sitting there in the background. Then we've got Sideways George in 12th. He's got Fitzy in his mirrors. And then unfortunately Seamus Cash all the way down in 14th. Having I think he's picked up a few penalties, had a few spills. It's not his day today, is it? Some people like these tracks, some don't, and I don't think Seamus Cash is going to put it on his top 5 of favourite tracks in the game. Bailey, however, seems to have got it mastered, as he takes turn 18 to start his final lap. So there we go, across the start finish line to start lap 21. So we'll just go down the order. So Callum in 2nd, Smith in 3rd. Smith is a lot closer to Callum now. He's only got this lap if he wants to take that position away from him. This could be a good fight to the finish for these two. Oh, and they both seem to go very wide. I was going to say Callum went a bit deep there into that turn, but Smith followed him. So Smith trying to get into the slipstream of Callum. He's going to find it difficult to get by him through the S sections. We'll just run down the order. Toby still in 4th, with Dirk sitting in 5th. Dirk getting closer and closer to Toby. Maybe he might make a move on him. Neil Farmack in 6th, Kenny 7th. We've then got Toten, Inky, Grasshopper and Paul. And then another little bit of a gap then back to Sideways, Fitzy, and then Seamus Cash. So back up to our race leader as he takes the final turn for the last time. Fantastic win for Bailey, well deserved, led from the start pretty much. So Bailey takes the win in the race 1. We've got Callum managing to come in 2nd, with Smith 3rd. Toby going to take 4th, Dirk in 5th. Fantastic racing from those guys. Neil Farmack, is he going to get 6th? I think he is, with Twitchy Kenny coming in 7th. Toten's going to take 8th. And then we've got Inky and Grasshopper battling it out for 9th. Race 2 will be coming up very shortly, so please join me for that. There is a mandatory pit stop in that race as well, so that'll be a good race as Inky crosses the line with Grasshopper and Paul taking 11th. Sideways George is going to get 12th, with Fitzy 13th and Seamus Cash coming in 14th. Not been his day today, but he could make up for it in race 2. So as I say, join me very shortly for that.